Hey everybody, how's it going? Let's see. Get a little drone going here. There we go. There, we'll let that run in the background. All right, how's everybody doing? I'm gonna come sit. Oh, I'm gonna chat with you guys. I'm gonna rearrange some windows here. Don't have enough. My eyes are bad. There we go. Let's see who's here today. My Logify is first. Hey, Freddie. Let's see. Mr. Hopkins and Will English and Garen. Driving to a synth jam. You're going to go hang out with Paul, I hope, or someone fun. Helical Coil. Domin. Casual Noises. Hey, Biscuit. Quasar. Andra Jams. Hey there. Are you new? Welcome. I see Andy. Let's see. Who else here? I think I'm missing anyone. We've got the usual suspects here. I see Wookie. Yeah, we had a little weird audio glitch at the very beginning. Thought I was going. Hey, Animotion, good to see you again. And let's see. Get caught up here. Ah, Mr. Kupka. Hey, man. After owning your Launchpad for a year, 10 years, you just found out it supports Poly Aftertouch. There you go. Let's see, who else? Rourke, hey there. I think that's everyone. Let me catch up and scroll on through here. If I'm missing anyone, I'm sorry. Please tag me if you want me to notice anything along the lines of questions, etc. Or put if you're on mobile, put like a couple dozen cues at the beginning of the line, so I'll know that it's a question. I see Gwen. Mr. Ensing, good old Isaac. Let's see, Morphing Orb. People popping in at the end here. Just jamming out. Had a good time. Large Father, there you are. I'm going to assume in my head that the bum 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 is this sinister bum bum bum, right? Let's see, and I think that's everyone. If I missed anyone, I'm sorry. But it's amazing how low my latency is. Well, that's, oh, you mean with YouTube? We have, at the risk of being, vaguely non-family friendly, we have big fat pipes here. And I'm talking about the internet. Let's see. No, I didn't miss you, Gwen. I saw you. All right. Apology accepted. All right, fine. I'm just getting caught up in the thing. Lords of Form. Hey there. All right. So anyway, I hope you like that. There's a bunch of like technical things I wanted to cover today, because in the Discord we were struggling with one of the members. Christian is struggling with getting hardware to not have an incredible amount of background noise. And I was just going to walk through some things here, but he's also using the OTT multiband compression preset in Ableton, which brings up the noise floor like hugely. And I was just going to briefly explain that in between making some music and stuff like that. Hey, Doug. And, Rourke, yeah, we're on. The bandwidth here is through the Al Gore special pipe. Exactly. So, yeah, and this is the succulent over here. And we've got our drink on the side here, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so I'm going to turn off these drones because we need to be able to hear some noise. All right, so hold on a second. Hush, you. Okay, now I've got here, what are we doing sound-wise? it's not going to change much over, occasionally if I get a new synth, I'll bring something in, but we still have our mini Moog. Okay, so we're running a mini Moog and an op6 and a wave state. I love this like Star Trek, man. Original series opening. Love it. And our mod wave, giving us a little arpeggiated sort of rhythmic pulsing pattern going there. The multi-poly is doing this. It's doing our bass line. And also the high end. Love that. And the mod wave brings in that, it ups the sort of velocity, the intensity. And then on the top half of the mod wheel, there's also a high pass filter that kicks in. It's just awesome. I'm sorry, every time I discover something new in the multi-poly, it's like, oh, that's cool. So, let's see. I'm trying to glance at the chat periodically. Let's see. All right, everybody's good. No tags. All right. And then I pulled out Omnisphere, and this is a Contact. Right? Because Native Instruments is reimagining themselves as a tools for composers sort of business. So I pulled out some of their orchestral sort of oddities. Using those for drones. All right. And then the Rick. So I don't know. So going out to the stream, the peaks are around -9 dB. So that shouldn't be getting compressed by YouTube. But if it's not loud enough, you guys are going to have to turn up your speakers, okay? Because I'm not trying to do that. Hi, Quasar. I'm not even going to. That's cute. Some things, man, they're just, it's part of the culture now. Rourke says, Synth Seeker, you're routing the master as a loopback into OBS? No. I'm using two computers. One that's the streaming machine that takes an audio feed, and it's got the video compositor software on it, and all the cameras are going into that machine. And then I've got my laptop in the push, and all the synths are on the other computer. And then basically the laptop in Ableton is just making a mix and processing my mic, and then throwing an audio feed over to the stream machine, which is eating the audio and broadcasting it out, and also consuming the cameras. So that's how it's working. If you look at last Sunday's stream, Rourke, I throw up a diagram that actually shows what's involved. It's pretty simple. I'm lazy, right? So. And Andy, please go support whomever, man. You don't have to hang out here. It's all good. Anyway, so one of the things I want to talk about today was hardware, because I'm using digital and analog hardware here, synths coming in. And I want to demonstrate some things around noise floor and what happens when you put a compressor on it and what you can do about it. I'm not an audio engineering expert. I'm not an electrical engineer. These are just what I have learned works in my studio. And if those work in yours, awesome. Okay, it's all good. Oh, thank you, Andy. Anna Motion has a noisy floor. You've got a single coil guitar in your studio, Anna, so that's like the number one source of noise, I'm sure, other than your psyche. But, all right, so just to demonstrate, I am going to flip over. Listen, this is the Mini Moog, and we're going to turn off the effects for a second. So we're disabling the reverb, the echo, and the chorus. So that's a Mini Moog coming in. All right, and it's plugged directly into the line inputs of my audio interface. and it's pretty clean. I don't have a noise gate on anything running right now. It's just doing its thing. Rourke, that's cool. Yeah, there's a diagram there you can just look at, scan through. I'm not sure where it is. I didn't tag it anywhere, but it's basically got the. I throw money at problems as opposed to finding a cheap, elegant way of doing it. I just brute force it and say I need 2 computers, and that's how it works. So, let's see, just checking. All right. No tags. Again, tag me if you want me to specifically answer a question, okay? Because otherwise I'm just going to assume you all are talking amongst yourselves. Anyway, so this is the Minimoog. Okay, it's a newer model, but it's a really old design, and it is very noisy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip us over to not look at my hands, and we're going to look at the DAW for a second, because I want you guys to see what's going on here. Okay. Hang on. There we go. All right. I should probably get one of those video switcher thingamajoobies. Stream Deck. Everybody's got one. All right. And then I don't have to walk over to the streaming machine and change things. Okay. So we're looking at, I'm pretty sure you guys can see Ableton. Someone tell me. I'm showing the Ableton desktop is streaming, I hope. Let me know. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a over-the-top compressor on the channel with the Minimoog on it. And there is a limiter on the main, so don't worry, I won't blow up your speakers. But here is, let's see, where is it? This is the OTT preset for the over-the-top on the Ableton multiband compressor. What's the velocity VOB with the push versus a good quality MIDI keyboard? Lords of Form, you'll have to clarify what VOB means. I don't know, man. As far as velocity, like how playable is it? I would say it is as good, but it takes practice. So, vibe. Okay. The velocity vibe. I can manage velocity fine, although I don't have, so the Minimoog itself is set up as organ with no velocity routing right now. Anyway, but here we go. I'm going to turn on this compressor, and this is what a guy in our forum has been struggling with. Here we go. There you go. So he's like, he plugs his hardware synth in, and he turns on OTT, and he hears that, right? That's the noise floor come up. So there's some questions you can ask yourself. So is that hissing noise? Is that coming through, by the way? Sounds like the worst tape hiss ever. You guys hearing that? Because I'm looking at the meter that's going out to YouTube, and it's hovering right around negative 30 dB. Okay. So it's like, is that the synth? Is the synth really noisy because I put a compressor on it? Or is that the noise floor of my audio interface? Like, what is that, right? Well, so if I turn down the volume, I've got the volume maxed on the Minimoog, goes down a little bit. And then you start to hear the sort of 40 cycle hum. I don't know if you can hear that in the background. So the Minimoog's noise floor, when the volume's full on, is pretty high. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that off. Much better. And I'm going to flip over to the Op6. Okay. Now the Op6. Okay. I'm going to put the exact same compressor on the Op6's channel. These are all inline, like insert effects. There's the Op6. Not quite as loud, but just as much. It's very, very audible hiss. If I turn the Op6 volume down, there's no impact. Right? Oh, let me turn the effects off and stuff. Hold on. The reverb tail and all that. There we go. So, Op6. That hiss? Is that the Op6? Or is that my interface, right? Well, I've turned the Op6 down all the way. And I've also tested it by unplugging it. the sound you're hearing with OTT on is the sound of my interface. That's the noise floor of my interface. So it doesn't mean I have a crappy interface. What does that mean, right? Morphing Orb says your OTT module looks different than mine. Your sidechain is on the far left, and it doesn't show like that on yours. Live 12. I'm in the Live 12 beta. Hang on a second. Live 12 beta. Right. So I don't know. I've lost track. So I almost never use the multiband compressor Morphing Orb, so I would not have noticed if it had changed. So you can EQ that out and things like that. But the thing is, I have this compressor on that's like literally over the top, right? Well, what happens when you're playing? So if I turn the sound back, so can you hear it fading back in? And then it comes back in, right? So that's just the compressor bringing the noise floor up because there's no signal going in, right? Right? And you can just put a noise gate on it, right, Wookie? I'm going to get to that. So let's flip back to the Mini Moog. Okay. Oh, I think this is something that messes with people. So I'm going to throw this in here too. Hold on. I'm going to copy this OTT. I'm going to stick one on the bass. Actually, I've got one there already. So let's listen to the bass. All right. And if I turn on the OTT, nothing, right? But it's because it's a VST, right? It's not external hardware. So I think people who use VSTs a lot use OTT, use like a crazy compressor to manage and mangle their sound. And they're unaware that it has any impact on the noise floor because with VSTs, the noise floor is effectively 0, right? So hang on, let's hear what this sounds like with it on. There's with, here's without. Right, and so I went looking around the Ableton forums, and the OTT, the multi-band compressor, and the OTT over-the-top preset, it's meant to be a sound design effect. People like chain 4 or 5 of them after a VST, specifically to mangle the sound going through. So if you're just futzing around in Ableton and you're like, oh, a multi-band compressor, what's that? And you drag out this thing, and it's going to bring all your noise up. You're going to be like, wow, that's terrible. Is something wrong with my rig? Which is, I think, what happened to this fellow in our Discord. And he has perhaps some other things like USB noise in there, maybe. I don't know. But I think the easiest solution, and I think Wookie just said that, I think, you just stick a noise gate in front of it, right? So if I go back to the Mini Moog, and here we go. Put on OTT. Oh my God, that's terrible. Let's say I wanted to mangle my sound with OTT. You could stick a noise gate in front of it like this. Right, and it just clamps down when it's not playing. Because when the signal's going through, there's enough signal that the compression isn't raising the noise floor up a huge amount. Let's turn on some more. You hear it coming in as the amplitude goes down, right? As the amp envelope closes us down, you hear the noise floor coming up. Let's tune this, shall we? Stop. There we go. Yeah, you could use a noise gate, but you don't really need to. Because honestly, well, I shouldn't say that. If you want to use a crazy compression setting, yeah, you'll need a noise gate. But if you don't, the other thing I wanted to illustrate is some level stuff. All right. My interface, all the interfaces I've ever had in the last, say, 15 years, we're blessed with where we are right now. Like even the cheapest, $200 audio interface, the noise floor on it is like below 100. It's so low, right? That you really don't need to worry about it. What does the form mentions? I'm trying to use two controllers, an M Audio 49 and a Push 2. How do I make the M Audio constantly stay on one instrument for dubs and allow me to change channels in Ableton? Oh, it depends. If you're using the M Audio controller as a control surface or just as a source of MIDI. Because I think you can route one particular channel. So I don't have another control surface here. This is not set up for notes right now. You can set your MIDI, instead of being from all ins to being a specific piece, words of form. You could say, I want this to be the M Audio, and then map it directly to whatever. I think that'll work. And then use the Push 2 to change instruments. Oh, wait, maybe I'm misunderstanding. You don't want the M Audio to be locked to a single instrument. You say, how do I make the M Audio constantly stay on one instrument? So you want it locked to a track. So you set one track to be listening only to the M Audio on a particular channel, and then route that to wherever you want it to be permanently routed to. Try that. I haven't tried that ever. I've been using a Push for so long. I just do it that way. But let me know. Morphing Orb. OTT can make basses real gnarly with a decapitator in front of it. Is that the Sound Toys decapitator? I'm going to assume it is. That's a fun plugin. So Wookie, speaking of Juno 6 chorus, so if you're using the Juno 6 chorus from Arturia, or you're using their Roland Dimension D chorus, get this. I think there is a bug in both of those choruses in that if you feed them a signal that's too hot, they will clip. Now, maybe it's a bug, or maybe they're just being really faithful to the original hardware. But I find it annoying. If I send too hot a signal into the Chorus Dimension D or the Juno 6, they will clip. But it's in a 32-bit domain, so it should never clip. So anyway, I'm going to whine about that for a second. So what I end up doing is sticking a utility in front of it to bring the gain down like 12 dB, and then sticking it another one on the backside to bring it back up again. Sort of frustrating. All right. Yeah, so Andy says you have a few pieces of kit whose noise source around a -60. Yeah, Tapis is like -80, and apparently my Mini Moog is around -60, right? Doug says, where's a good tutorial for writing Berlin School? Okay, Doug. Are you teasing me? Doug, if you go to my channel and you look at the playlist called Berlin School, it's got 4 videos in it, and it says start here. Try that. And if you want more, just search for Berlin School and go to anyone else, because everybody's got a slightly different recipe. All right. Morphing Orb, that's what I think it is. So I think you can just lock a track to a particular piece of gear in a channel. You want to use 2 MIDI inputs live, one that stays on the drum kit, so I don't have to arm the relevant channel every time I change. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. So if you were send me a link to like a diagram that shows what you want. I work better with pictures. Noise on, noise off. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, Doug, there's a playlist for Berlin School, man. Anyway, the thing I wanted to show you, since we've got the computer up, I've been waving my hands over the push to give you hand gestures, but so this is the interface that I'm using right now. All of the line inputs here, so 3 through 10, are no gain. They're just line level. Okay, so, right, the Minimoog's coming in on 2. Oops, let's turn these off. And let's turn the effects back on because we can. I can delete that. I don't ever plan on using OTT right now on the Minimoog. All right, so. All right, maybe too much delay. Anyway, but it's coming in. Okay. And do you see how there's like actually no numbers on the meter? This is a very common thing with Motu. It's when you're in the digital domain and the noise floor is so low, and it's been this way for a long time, if you get any signal at all, you're basically good. As long as you're not clipping, right? It'll turn red at the top if you clip. Because once it's in, okay, let me see here. Where's the thing? Right. So this is 2 years old. I stole this from Julian Krause's website or his YouTube channel, where he reviews like a whole lot of different audio interfaces, and he's got them set up as like excellent, good, fair, poor. But the point I want to make, I'm not talking about any specific interface. What I'm talking about is the worst one that he reviewed from 2 years ago, right? Its noise floor on its mic input, and mic inputs are usually worse than line input, is better than negative 115 dB. Okay. And it's crazy. The gear we have now, and some of this is expensive, but some is very inexpensive. You don't need to stress about levels that much once it's in the box, right? So like if you've got a thing, if it's like line input is like 110, 120 dB, if it's dynamic range or THD, again, I'm not an audio engineer, so there's different metrics for different purposes, right? And A-weighted, I believe, has to do with like curved, so it represents human hearing. The point I'm trying to make is once you're in, okay, so this is Unity. All right, so the level you're hearing it right now is there's no boost anywhere in the system. It's coming in from the Minimoog into the interface, into Ableton, out to you guys. There's no compression. There's nothing. And I see a lot of people talking about like, oh, this synth is quiet and this synth is loud. Well, here's a Minimoog. Moogs tend to be louder. And it's still relatively quiet. Now I could go out to the gain on this thing and bump the gain. In fact, I've done a video before saying you can go out and set all of the gains on all of your channels for all of your synths so that they're about equal. That's a convenience, but you don't have to do that because honestly, once it's in the digital domain, all you have to do is bump it in the DAW or in the whatever digital processor you're using, because here's an example. Let me just bump this 12 dB. There's no noise. Normally, if back in my father's day when he worked at Telarc, right? If you bump something up 18 decibels, you're going to hear noise. There's 18 dB again. I don't hear anything. It's loud. And this is a 50-year-old piece of gear, right? So the new stuff, right? The multi-poly. So here's the multi-poly max volume. Where am I going? Multi-poly max volume. It's about the same volume as the Moog without any boosting. And then I just bring it up. Really, the days of needing to stress and get everything right, once you're in the box, I don't think you have to worry about it anymore. Now, we can debate that and people will comment and say I'm wrong, I'm sure. But my experience is once it's in the box, once it's been come through your audio interface, unless it's to Animotion Music's she's the exception, unless you're like using a single coil guitar and you're standing in front of a computer and picking up all of that like RF noise stuff. Okay, you're gonna have to do a dance to maybe get rid of that. But like synths, line level synths, you just don't have to worry about it. So I basically ran into this thing in the Discord the other day. The Discord member's like struggling. He's like, I put this compressor on. It's all this noise. I don't know what to do about it. We're trying to figure out is it a problem with the synth? Is his interface broken, etc. It's just the noise floor, I think. He might have some USB noise as well. But, and up until just, a few days ago when I worked all through this, because I was fiddling it around trying to help, I was testing things myself. It has become apparent to me that if you run from your synths into an interface, no boost, no nothing, just get it in there. And it's okay if it comes in at like minus 24 dB, because your headroom is like your dynamic range is like 110 dB. So if it comes in at negative 24, it's plenty loud, and you can bump it 12 dB, 16 dB, 20 dB and not bring the noise up. So anyway, I just wanted to rant about that a little bit. So, all right, hang on a minute. Let's flip back. That's that. Let me bring this back to the camera, to the hand cam. Let's see. Let's go back here. Okay. Now I'm sitting on my butt over to the side. Hang on a minute. Let's see. Hey, Quattro Bagina popped in. Welcome. Let's see if anyone else hopped in while I was ranting. Love that lead sound. Which lead sound, Doug? The Mini Moog one? I think you're yanking my chain there, bud. Let's see. Words of Form says you're correct. Yeah, with 24-bit recordings, or 32-bit processing, right? We will never clip. Biscuit says using plugins that are modeled at a component level on specific hardware. I don't know. I mean, it's like, so this is something I don't like about modeling. When you model components, like, Roland ACB, stuff like that. It's like, please, don't model the flaws, right? If you're looking for some nonlinear behavior because you like the way it distorts when you overload it, sure, model that, right? But let's not model the flaws. So in the Roland, in the Arturia's model of the Roland Dimension chorus, it definitely clips in an ugly way. It's not pleasant. All right, I'm going to make some more music in a second. Noise adds character. Say that to a new parent. And emotion. Noise adds character. Depends. Freddie, I'm waiting to see. I want to see a screenshot or a photocopy of the specs of that FPGA, because it sounds awesome, and I've never I've never seen the specs on an FPGA. Like, I never went looking. And you said the other day, I think, that it was a very expensive, fancy FPGA. So all the cool DSP chips have like cool names, like Shark, right? Does your FPGA that you're using have a cool name? Is it Titanium? Is it the Vader FPGA? All right, let's make some noise. Let's see. Let's start with where are we at? Let's turn some effects back on, shall we? And not OTT. All right. All right. I usually start with bass or rhythm. Let's start with that for today. And we'll do something, I'll do some phrasing with some spaces, and then we'll do another loop that fills in the spaces. All right? I think that's 16 bars. Let's see. All right, let's record that. Three, four. I think my clav part might have a little mistake. Hang on a second. Let's listen to it once. Let's listen to the back 8 bars here. That one. All right. So it's this. There we go. I think that's what I want. Actually, it's these. Doing a little editing on the push here. There we go. All right, let's put a bass on it. Oof. The bass is too loud and the sub is still on. Too subby. There we go. Freddie says it's a Kintex 7 AMD Xilinx chip. All right. I'll pass it along to my Aero Deaf friends at work and say, hey, tell me about this. We'll see what happens. Words of Forum asks, any tips for one bad sticky keys on a push? Sticky. What do you mean by sticky? Meaning you hit it and it doesn't play, or you hit it and it plays multiple times, or you release it and it keeps going? Let me know. Hey, Robert Penway. Thank you very much. That was nice of you to say. Whoops. Oh, well. Try to do a multiple chord change in one bar while soloing it over it. Unprepared. That was an attempted improvisation, and that failed. So let's drop a lead line. Let's bring in one of the patterns that I had from before. Anyway, all right. We'll work on the endings some other day. So, pardon me. All right. So where are we at? I think we're at 3 o'clock. Okay. Well, so that was fun. We had a jam at the beginning. We had me ranting about audio interfaces and noise levels. So, and then a little micro jam at the end. So a few questions, things like that. That was fun. I hope everybody is going to have a good whatever remains of your Sunday. Some of you may just be going to bed soon. I don't know. Let's see. Any questions? Let me look real quick. Let's see. All right. Spawned a discussion about FPGAs. That's fine. Always good. We like to have a certain amount of nerd peanut gallery discussion for sure. So Doug says, love the ARP in the background. The ARP that was running was like the baseline, the 80s sort of ducka ARP. That is a multi-poly preset called 1984. I think something like that. I didn't make it. I just totally ran across it. And if you play the mod wheel at this, the filter sweep. So thanks, Anna. I had a good time. It's good to have you back. Let's see. Chinatown vibes. Nice. All right, everyone. Well, I think I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to go spend some quality time with my wife. And that may involve making some musical tidbits on the couch while she watches. I think, what is it? The current crop of TV that my wife is really enjoying is a show called The Farmer Wants a Wife. And I think The Bachelor is also running right now, or maybe it just finished. And The Amazing Race, where they travel all over the world, etc. Those are her favorite shows right now. So while she's watching those, I sit near her on the couch and do my own thing with headphones. Anyway, everyone, have a good time. I am going to kill the stream, and I will talk to you all next Sunday, if not sooner. All right? Have a good one. Oh, for Andy. Here we go. Ta-da! A closing screen. All right. You guys have a blast. Love you all.